Today, I'm gonna be making a Studio Ghibli spread. Ghibli. Studio Ghibli. So, yeah, I'll be drawing some of my favorite characters from some of the movies. Let's get to it! Alright, welcome back you guys to another video. As I already mentioned, today I'm going to be drawing a Studio Ghibli spread in my sketchbook. This is actually the first spread that I'm doing in my sketchbook. So yeah, that's cool, and that was like really exciting and a really big like challenge, I guess, for me to like overcome and be like, get in the mindset like, okay, we're gonna fill out a whole 2 pages that's gonna be like cohesive and somewhat put together. But it was fun. I started off drawing Ashitaka, and I decided to do all of my sketches in colored pencil so that it would be harder for me to go back and erase things, so that I would be more intentional when I was drawing, and I would be more kind of, I guess, in tune with proportion versus using regular pencil, which I can just erase and redo. It's like, no, I want to try and make this the best that I can without the ability to go back and undo and redo. So that was a bit of a challenge in itself, and every sketch that I did draw, I wanted it to be in a different color to match the character. So the character that you're seeing me draw right now is from The Wind Rises. In every character that I chose to draw are one of my like favorite characters from different Studio Ghibli movies. I didn't want to just do a whole spread on just one Studio Ghibli movies because I love all the ones that I've watched. I haven't watched all of them, which is so sad. I need to watch all of them. I've watched most of them, you guys, okay? So don't worry. I've watched most of the Studio Ghibli movies. Recently, I was watching Studio Ghibli movies with my friends. We would have a movie night, and one of my friends would stream the movies for us. And we would do it like once a week. We haven't kept up with that lately, which I'm really bummed about because there's still, you know, a few that I haven't watched. I haven't watched Porco Rosso, or there's some that I haven't like watched in a really long time, like Nausicaa, or yeah, movies. I haven't watched some movies in a while. Anyway, there's like a list of movies that I haven't seen. I can't think of them off the top of my head because I don't have it written down. But there's movies I haven't seen and I want to see. I don't have the like HBO Hulu subscription to be able to watch them. My friend does, so I don't know, maybe I'll ask her if we can watch more movies soon, because that was so fun watching it with them, having a little watch party on Discord, you know. Anyway, back to the sketches. I chose to do Turnip Head from Howl's Moving Castle because I feel like he needs a little bit more love. And then I was drawing Ariete, right? She's in the bottom right corner, and her eyes, they look really terrified. Hello? Like, she looks like she's been traumatized. Something that I realized once I started looking at the recordings was that the duck actually shows up on camera. I was really worried when I was drawing it in the moment, like I could barely see myself. And then I did end up trying to draw Howl and add him in here, but his face, it doesn't look great.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
So yeah, I covered him up because I'm like, nope, we're not gonna do that. And good thing though, because I mean, I already have a Howl's Moving Castle character on here, and I forgot to add Kiki's delivery service. So we're adding Tombo. That's right. So I added a piece of Bristol board, actually, a vellum Bristol board, because that's just like a scrap piece of paper I had lying around from like a class assignment. I do have like a lot of these characters. They're pretty big and prominent, but I wanted to add in a couple more movies, so in the little like spaces in between the characters I added Ponyo and Totoro and the little sprites and jellyfish just to like fit in the empty space. And then another reason why I made all of the sketches in like different colors was so that I could use and practice with as many colors as I could when it came to coloring them in with my alcohol markers, the Ohuhus. And then it also makes like the page really vibrant and eye-catching. On the left, you'll see that I have like this long strip of paper and I start doing some swatches on it. I did that so in case you guys were curious about what colors I was using to draw each character, you could look at that and, you know, use that same color if you also have Ohuhu markers. I'm gonna show a couple pictures of like the full sheet of swatches, and I'm gonna have them separated by character at the like towards the end of the video, so you guys can just like pause and look at that if you need to, because it is like all sped up here. When I'm drawing, I like to watch other people's YouTube videos and their little like drawing time lapses or their sketchbook tours and all that good stuff. I prefer it actually over music because it's like someone's talking to me and then I can like learn and hear about their life experiences and stuff. But someone had said to use gray underneath your colors for your Ohuhu markers, so I tried that out for like the little monster thing on Ashitaka's arm to make it like a darker purple instead of this super bright purple. So that was the intention behind that. And then instead of like using grays to shadow everything, I did try to use darker colors for like the more colorful parts of everybody's clothes. Actually, I'm still having a hard time trying to blend with the markers. I just don't know how to yet. I'm gonna have to like look at some more tutorial videos on how to, because the shading, it just, I don't know how I did it. I'm not entirely satisfied with it. I want it to be more blended and more like less cell shading. Not that there's anything wrong with cell shading, I think it's really cool, but for me, I want it to be more like semi-realistic, and just, I don't know how to do that with alcohol markers yet, but someday I'm gonna learn, don't worry. And then something else that I wanted to try when coloring in all of these but ended up not doing was using colors that aren't actually visually there, but when you use them together it looks like that. I don't know if you've ever seen like that really stylized realistic like egg, I'll show a picture here, but it uses blues and pinks and purples, and it still looks like a super duper amazing egg, but it uses a whole bunch of different colors, and I wanted to try out that color like style. I don't know how to do that yet, but then I was like, no, I want to kind of keep this true to Studio Ghibli and like how they color their characters. So that's something that I'm gonna try and experiment with in my sketchbook in the future. And because that's something that I do really want to get better at, is just using a whole bunch of different colors to make an image cohesive instead of just different like saturations and brightnesses of colors in order to color in things, if that makes any sense. Making this entire spread took me a really long time. It took me a little over 7.5 hours, and as proud as I am of the result, it's kind of disappointing in a sense to see like that much work and effort be squished into a video that's like 24 minutes long. Like, oh man, here's 7.5 hours worth of work. It's actually compiled into less than half an hour, and it's like, no, it's like there's more that went into it than just this. I don't know. So, but I guess that also gives you guys an idea about like how long this took in total. I do know it took me like 2 hours to complete just the sketching portion of this. I couldn't tell you how long it took me to do the markers and then like the extra details with colored pencils and pens, but yeah, to give you an idea of like how fast or slow I work, I don't know. I would say this, I don't know, I don't think this was fast at all. This was pretty long. Ooh, so something that I did want to talk about was me coloring in Haku's hair. I really like how I colored it in. So what I did is I started off with like a brown color underneath, and then I went over it in like a teal, and I originally was like, oh, I'm just gonna put the teal on his hair, but then I was like, no, I was looking at my reference picture that I was using. I was like, no, there's like just the tiniest bit of brown, and I wanted to make it look, you know, not like this unearthly color teal. So yeah, I kind of like that little touch that I did. I was like, oh man, here I am getting all fancy with the Ohuhu markers. Ooh. Oh, and then as for references, I did make a Pinterest board, and I'm gonna link that in the description below. So if you wanted to see what reference pictures I used from what like movies that inspired this whole spread, I got you. So yeah, just check out the link below. Something else that I was really proud of was the way that I colored Chihiro's shirt. So I know like the majority of it is supposed to be like this cream color, but I actually did it in this light green, and then for the like the actual green stripe, it was a much darker green. But I feel like the way in which I did it, it comes across as like a cream color instead of a green. And I don't know, I really like the finished result of her shirt. It's just chef's kiss. I loved it. And then Spirited Away is actually my favorite Studio Ghibli movie, so I'm really glad that I did justice to them, because it's like, it's my favorite movie. I have to just draw them the best that I can, and you know, I think I achieved that. Also for them, I really wanted to tie in the whole like spread thing. Instead of having like everybody on their own side of the page, it's a spread. It should be connected somehow in the both sides of the pages, so I was glad I was like really able to do that with them. So yeah, I was like, oh, it's just happiness, you know? Like when you draw something and it's just like, oh man, I did that. Yeah, that's how I feel about Haku and Chihiro. So yeah, that's a win for me. On the flip side of things looking great, let's talk about things that look not so great. Arietti. Oh boy, what I did to her. Yeah, I was struggling with coloring in the skin tones for most of these characters, especially Arietti. The skin tones, I wanted all of them to be like slightly different, and I know there's a whole bunch of colors, but I haven't experimented enough with the Ohuhu markers yet to know like what would work best like for me, as well as just like the markers themselves. And wow, the colors that I used on Arietti's face I thought were going to be a lot lighter. Clearly not. And then also for what's her name? So for Nahoko, her skin color turned out to be a lot more peachy than I intended it to be. And then for like Hiro, I mixed Haku and Chihiro and came up with Hiro. Haku and Chihiro's skin tones are like the exact same, and I use the exact same colors for them. And then clearly Ashitaka's a lot darker, but yeah, skin tones, I've always struggled with them. No matter what medium I'm using, it's just, I just can't get them right. And yeah, I mean, I made it work, I guess, but there's, you know, still improvement to be had. And then Tombo, he's just very overall super kind of like orange, just, and then with the red colors in his shirt and the red sketching I did for him, he's very orange, and I kind of use like a reddish orange for the back of his hair too. So yeah, he's a very much more orange character than I wanted the final result to be, but he's still super happy and an adorable boyo, so it's all good. Okay, so I finished doing all like the alcohol marker part of this, and so I still have line work to do, clearly. I'm really not liking how Arietti turned out. Her face is just like completely muddled, so hopefully I can like redeem how she looks when, you know, I outline everything and shade some more stuff with colored pencil. But it's looking pretty fun. I've been like attempting to experiment with the colors, so yeah. Okay, let's get to it. So something funny right here is I am swatching all my micron pens because I did have a few colored ones and a whole bunch of like just regular black microns, but as I was swatching them, a lot of them were like pretty dried out and were on their like last breath, and I ended up having to throw away 10 micron pens and then 4 Copic outliners pens things. So 14 pens in total I had to throw out because they were like dry and on their last breath, and it was so painful to have to do that because, I mean, they're definitely not cheap pens, so it's like, oh. But the day after I finished drawing this, I did go to Blick with my best friend, and so I didn't get microns actually. Wait, let me check what brand it was that I got. So I got the Stabilo fine liners since they were a bit cheaper than microns were. So I'm excited to use them and try them out because I've never used this brand before. So yay! That was a fun trip to go to the art store. Yeah, going to like an actual art store versus like Joann's and Michael's. Like, don't get me wrong, they're definitely art stores, but they lean more on like the craft side. So going to like an art store with a whole bunch of like paints and fancy pens and pencils, and it's just a whole different experience. And I love every time that I go there because it's like I can make a fun trip, a day trip out of it, and it's great. So yeah, I was really excited to get the fine liners because now I can outline everything in colors that actually match the picture that I'm drawing, versus like you see Turnip Head, he has like a black outline on his head, which I really was hoping I could avoid using black, but I didn't have enough colored fine liners at the time, so I made do with what I had. So those like really stand out from the rest of the drawings in this spread. And so I did all of the detailing with Prismacolor colored pencils that I have, and then the micron pens and the Copic fine liners. So yeah, that's what I did to add all the extra details. I even used a white gel pen to get like highlights on the eyes of everybody, as well as fill in like some spots towards the end. As Studio Ghibli is for many people, it's been like a big inspiration to me and like my art. I absolutely love Studio Ghibli and I've always adored their films ever since I saw my first one, which was Ponyo. Yeah, that was the first one that I saw. I think I was probably like 7 years old when I first saw that, so, or 8, something like that. I don't know when, but Ponyo was my first movie. And like I mentioned earlier, I want to be able to see all of the Studio Ghibli films. That's like a thing I want to complete. Not only that, but I want to complete my collection of the Studio Ghibli films. I've been slowly trying to acquire all of the movies on like DVDs for a while now, and I have a good amount. I think I have like 10 of the movies. Yeah, I hope to get all of them. The only unfortunate part about me having the DVD is so I don't have a DVD player. Maybe that's something I have to get. Oh my gosh, DVDs are like outdated for the times now, but it's like I don't have the subscriptions, but I also don't have a DVD player. Maybe someday I'll have one to be able to finish my Ghibli collection and then be able to watch all the films. I actually have a few paintings I've done in the past of some like iconic scenes / pictures from some of the films, so maybe I'll show those right here so you can admire those for a little bit. I didn't realize I wasn't recording, so me outlining and doing the stuff for him is just not recorded. Yeah, sorry about that, but he's finished. Anyway, back to talking about Studio Ghibli. So I just checked right now which movies that I do have. I actually have 9, not 10 of the movies. Oh, there's my pencil clicking. I have Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, The Cat Returns, My Neighbor Totoro, When Marnie Was There, Only Yesterday, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, and Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. I've seen all of those movies, and then I've also seen Kiki's Delivery Service, but that gives you an idea of like what films I haven't watched. So, oh wait, I also have the movie for Ponyo as well. It's just my family watched it recently, so it's not in my little like box where I keep all the movies. And then right here, I was coloring in Ariete, trying to like redeem her face, right? And so I colored over the marker with colored pencil, a lighter shade, like a skin tone color that was like way lighter, and then like I colored her eyes in black. I don't know. I mean, it looks better than it did before, but she also still kind of like looks low-key terrifying, which I don't like, so I think I'm actually gonna cover her in specific up. I'm gonna cover her up with like a sticky note or something after this is all done, so like whenever I open to this spread I just don't see her, because I genuinely do not like how she turned out. Oh my gosh, I messed her up so bad. It's not good, you guys. But it's okay, we live and we learn. I mean, that's what art is about, right? You try things, And if it doesn't work out, well, now you know for the future. Remember how I said that, like, I had to throw away 10 micron pens? Yeah, so actually, I think I had to throw away a couple more because there was some that were, like, still usable but not fully dried out, and then I tried using them and they just didn't work. So trying to draw in the soot sprites, I was so bummed that I had to just use regular pens, and then I really didn't like how that looked because they were so shiny, and micron pens are matte, which I prefer the look of matte versus shiny. So with like the little bit of micron ink that was left in any of those pens, I like was trying really hard to draw those when I was coloring the top 3 soot sprites, because I'm like, no, these they can't be shiny anymore. They have to like have micron. So yeah, I had to go out and get some pens, which I did, so yay. And then here I'm coloring the in-between of each of the characters to fill in all of the empty space. I wanted to choose colors that I hadn't like already used within the spread, but it would still match. So like right next to Nahoko, I used orange because, you know, orange and yellow are like almost next to each other on the color wheel. And then green next to Chihiro, blue next to Ariete because that seems like rain. And then, you know, so on and so forth. And then within each of those like color blocks, I then went in and had different like designs in each of them, so they weren't just a plain flat color. I wanted to add like life and funness to them, so you'll see that in a little bit. And now we're nearing the end of the spread. It's almost completely done. I really like how it turned out overall. I think it's great. I got to experiment with a whole bunch of colors and trying out my pens and trying to get used to them. It was great. I really like how the duck turned out. I feel like I kind of made him look like this old Renaissance-esque painting. I don't know, he just looks like something that would have been painted or drawn in like the 1500s, and I am living for it. It's so funny. He's just like with that blink stare like, ah! It's it's so silly. I love it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this spread and who was your favorite character that I drew, or who do you wish that I drew. Yeah, who do you wish that I did draw in oh my god. Or who do you wish that I drew instead? Oh, so something that I wanted to start doing was in the description of each video that I post now, at the bottom of it, I'm going to include how many subscribers I have the day of me posting the video. I saw someone else do that and I thought that was really cool and interesting because it serves as like a benchmark for how many subscribers that I have at one point. So like I could see how much I've grown over, you know, certain periods of time. It's like, oh, obviously when I started this channel at the very beginning of the year, I had no subscribers, and it's May now and I have almost 250 subscribers. Like what? That is insane. I don't know, it feels like a lot of growth to me, and I feel like having that can be cool, you know, and then you guys can also see where I've been through that, and with your guys' help, obviously. Can't be doing this without you, and so thank you all so much for your support. It really means so much to know that there's so many of you who like my art and want to see more, and I'm so grateful to you all. And then here's the color swatches as promised. Anyway, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment if you feel like it. Otherwise, have a wonderful day, you guys. See you in the next video.